Never-before-seen surveillance video obtained by News 9 shows the moment 33-year-old John Medore walked into New Hampshire Hospital armed with a gun.
WPBC 520 New Hampshire State Police Troop A, attention all units, signal 1000, active shooter at the state hospital.
Within seconds, Medore opened fire, shooting and killing security officer Bradley Haas before being fatally shot by a state police trooper.
I need to be able to come to this hospital and tell people that I've done everything I can think of to prevent this from happening again.
Dr. Jeffrey Fetter was there that day and has made it his mission every day since to advocate for change.
I don't know that we'll ever know exactly what Mr. Medore's motive was or what was going through his head that day. I do believe that many tragedies that involve mental health crises, both homicides and suicides, could be prevented if it was just a little bit harder for someone in a behavioral health crisis to access a gun.
The Attorney General confirms Medore was a former patient at New Hampshire Hospital, diagnosed with schizophrenia and involuntarily committed for several months in 2016 and 17. Federal law prohibits anyone who's been committed from purchasing a gun, but Dr. Fetter says there's a loophole at the state level.
The way we enforce it in New Hampshire is that we ask the gun purchaser to attest that they do not have a mental illness.
New Hampshire is one of just a handful of states that does not report mental health records to the federal background check database. That means a person with proven mental health issues can buy a gun if they just lie on question 21G of the firearms transaction record, where it asks whether or not the person has been committed to a mental institution. Authorities say Mr. Medore checked no when he bought his weapon from a licensed dealer in Barrington in 2020.
Makes me sad.
Milford Firearms owner Nick DeAugustine says he tries to vet his customers to ensure his guns don't end up in the wrong hands.
And I wait for people's reactions when I ask them that question.
Okay. But if he doesn't sense a problem, he says it's not up to him to question someone's answers on a federal form.
People lie all the time, unfortunately, but that's where some of the issues fall, and it needs to be a conversation about the mental health because it is a crisis.
So first I thought, okay, we have to fix this.
So Republican State Rep Terry Roy reached across the aisle to co-sponsor House Bill 1711, named Bradley's Law.
This bill would have saved Chief Haas's life because the only reason that gentleman had a gun was he went there and he lied on the application, said he'd never been committed.
The legislation would, for the first time, require New Hampshire to report some mental health records to the federal firearms background check database, including people who are found incompetent to stand trial, not guilty by reason of insanity, or who have been involuntarily committed.
These are only people who are brought before the court because they are dangerous to themselves or others.
The bill passed the House but died in the Senate. State Rep J.R. Hull voted against it, calling it a gun grab without due process.
The bill attempts to try and solve a mental health issue, which needs to be solved by going after the law-abiding gun owners.
Roy plans to bring Bradley's Law back next session. Dr. Fetter says he'll be there to testify in support of what he calls common sense gun reform.
People should not be afraid of mental illness. They should not be afraid of people with mental illness. They should not be afraid of guns. Guns are tools. But you should be afraid of the mixture of a gun and a behavioral health crisis.
Catherine Underwood, WMUR News 9.